Welcome to the African Album Review Podcast, where we review Africa's best and latest music projects.
Africa, Murise. My name is MJ Wemoto and I welcome you to the African Album Review Podcast. Many thanks for joining me today. I'm so glad to be back. It's been such a busy week for me and nothing like an album review just to unwind and de-stress. If you're joining us for the first time here, welcome. This is a platform where we get to look at the best and the most awesome African albums that were released in the last year or so. And I give you an idea of what to expect, how the album sounds, and give you insight into whether you should listen to the album or the artist. Without further ado, let's get straight into it.
The latest African album review is... Loading! Album review.
First thoughts.
Damini Ebunoluwa Ogulu is a multi-award winning Nigerian singer and songwriter known in the music industry as Burna Boy. Burna Boy rose to prominence in 2012 after releasing the lead single Like to Party from his debut studio album titled Life. Today I'll be reviewing the album African Giant, which was released under Atlantic and comes after Life, which was released in 2013 on a spaceship, 2015 and 2018's Outside. The album has 19 tracks. One of those is a skit and a total of 1 hour runtime, 9 features with multiple producer placements, the likes of Kelpie, who had the bulk of the placements, Skrillex, Drescal, Benjams, P2J, Tyrese T-Boy, DJ DS. There's a lot on this album.
Album review.
Let's analyze the music.
The title track, African Giant, is quite intro-esque in nature. Burna Boy says, God gives you what you can handle, and your job is to dig deep and realize your talents so that you can achieve everything that you want to achieve and overcome all the obstacles. One of the lyrics goes, tell them Africans we don't tire because you're an African giant. And honestly, I felt that because there is nothing quite like African resilience. Doesn't matter where we are in the world, we fight hard. I believe Burna Boy brought his Fela Kuti game on the song Anybody. There was a voice in my head saying, you know what, this guy is gonna be a legend when I was listening to that track. Of course, Burna Boy's grandfather, Benson Idonije, once managed Fela Kuti, so there's a whole lot of history and influence there. I would also say there's crazy saxophone work on Anybody, which I absolutely loved. The extreme chill on the song Wetin Man Go Do and the sexy guitar riff had me nodding my head to the music the whole way. Burna Boy manages to give the listener a delicate balance in the form of a feeling of hopelessness, courtesy of life's challenges, while at the same time still putting forward the hope and the hard work that guides many of us. He says it's what man does even when our priorities are misplaced. We still find a way to put forward our needs and our wants and work for it and get it. One thing I could definitely say while listening to African Giant is that Burna Boy and Georgia Smith know how to make a killer track together. Those two, my peeps. Yeah, they really know how to make good music. I mean, Gumbody is such a melodic dream for anybody listening. The dancehall beat on here is incredibly easy on the ear. Add in both their melodic vocals and just complimentary performances and it's a hit. They have a lot of musical chemistry and I guess maybe on that Big Sean, Jene Aiko type, this song and also George's current single Be Honest being two clear examples of why these two should continue making songs together. Omo is one of my favorite songs off the African Giant album. It's a love song, but if you're thinking slow and very relaxed with chords being held like, I guess the picture or the sound of a love song that we have in our heads, that's not what you're gonna get. This song can fill up dance floors and also is lyrically very raw with F-bombs and the like. So it's pretty interesting, but still a dope-ass love song. On Secret, Burna Boy got Jamaican talent Serani out of what seemed to be early retirement, especially after the monster hit No Games. Or maybe I just haven't been following dancehall as much, but I haven't heard much from him. So it was great just to hear Serani again. What a song to do it on as well. Couple that with Jeremy coming through with crazy input on this track, and Secret becomes one of the female favorites. I know people that just absolutely love it, and they're all female. So song for the girls, song for the women, kind of. Now, for such a profound song in terms of the subject matter, Collateral Damage has such a dope guitar lead, which, it's groovy, it's nice. And before I get to the lyrics, one distinct element of this song is that it does not have a bass lead. None at all. Unusual, but quite a masterstroke in the context of this album. This is a social justice tune where Burna Boy encourages people to fight for their Pekin, i.e. the future generations, because there's a lot of tyranny and stuff happening on the African continent, man. Like, I don't even want to get into this because, I'm from Zim, and I know Zim is a mess right now. But anyway, I digress. Burna Boy says sometimes we are our own problems in the quest for money and power without regard for who or what it impacts. If we also don't fight for our rights in the process, then that results in unwanted collateral damage. Easily one of the best tracks on African Giant. And as if that wasn't enough, Burna Boy gets even deeper on another story which features Ghanaian hip-hop royalty Manifest. It kicks off with someone saying, to understand Nigeria, you need to appreciate where it came from. Then that person goes on to give a spiel about how, the Nigerian land was sort of paid for a hefty amount of money. And if you thought that the British came to spread democracy, you're wrong, because they saw something and they paid for it and they wanted to take a lot out of Nigeria. And of course, we know it is a resource-rich country. Another story takes a position of how withholding the truth is still a lie, especially in the context of history, where we're told about our own countries as Africans. This in turn has deep-rooted impacts in our societal constructs and some of the internal infighting that we see. Somebody came through with propaganda and we ate it up. And of course, all this zones into the power of propaganda and the need for us to research the truth for ourselves so that we open our eyes as Africans. And if you've listened to Burna Boy talk, a lot of his interviews, he really talks about how Africa, we have to really take charge of our own narrative and become the masters of our destiny. Other than that, the album does have songs that we already knew from the last few months, maybe years, the likes of Dangote and the monster hit On The Low.
Album review.
The technical side of things.
I would say stylistically, Burna Boy's voice is pure gold. Not in the OMG I can carry a chord kinda gold, but the uniqueness. I think right now the music industry is really giving more of a chance to people that are very unique. But in the case of Burna Boy, when you combine it with his beats, you get a one-of-a-kind product that is really infectiously catchy. doesn't even matter what he's saying at that point. Sequentially, the tracklist was a beautiful journey into Burna Boy's world. When you peel the layers, the first part of the album is more deeply Afrocentric, even touching on Afrobeat, not Afrobeats. Then it gets a bit more urban, even with sprinkles of pop. After the Black Rhino skits, the album definitely became more dancehall with, I would say, hard-hitting beats. This is homage to his earlier music where he really was somewhat an African dancehall musician before diversifying his portfolio to the flavor we get nowadays. One of the best songs on this vibe is the song Different, featuring Damian Marley and multi-Grammy winner Angelique Kidjo, who also collaborated with Yemi Alade on her latest album, Woman of Steel. And I reviewed that album a few weeks ago, so check that out. One thing I like about Burna Boy as a product is he doesn't need to be cool. He's got the look, he's got the music, and his persona is very chilled. Like, you can tell he's not a guy who really likes to talk too much with people, and he likes to maybe keep to himself a little bit, but it still works for him. This easily transfers to his music as well. The mixing and mastering on African Giant were true world standard, executed to perfection for, I would say, 95% of the album. Obviously, when we listen to albums, there's always something to critique, but all I could notice was maybe one or two tracks that may have raised an eyebrow on certain aspects, but I'm not sure if it's just a case of my preference or a bigger issue. This is typically what happens when you get an album that is 19 tracks deep. One or two things may run away from you, and that being said, it's something I bet many wouldn't even notice. It's more, I guess, people like me who are looking for certain things and stuff. But yeah, overall, was pretty good.
Album review.
The final thoughts.
I'd say my standout tracks on African Giant are Gumbody, African Giant, the title track itself, On the Low, Omo, Another Story, Collateral Damage, Anybody, Wetin Man Go Do, Dangote, and Different. That's a lot of tracks too for a 19-track album. I would say comfortably about 10 to 12 tracks I could listen to anytime, any place, no problem. The entire album is the Burna Boy we've grown to know and love. One of my co-workers described the album as super chill, like you can play it in the background all day and be cool with it. The music just filters through seamlessly. You could be chilling, you could be cooking, cleaning the house, driving somewhere. It still just slaps the same way. Funny enough, I listened to the album over a 2-hour period while cleaning the car, so yeah. That said, here's an underlying confident maturity about Burna Boy. You know, that grown man level that really appeals to certain people without being overly too old. Like, it's just there, nyana. To conclude, I would say Burna Boy has truly found his sound, and in the process is on his way to becoming one of the most iconic artists of our generation, especially coming from Africa. African Giant comes well recommended if you have not listened to it yet. You're slacking, you're slipping, you're falling, and you can't get up. Anyway, gotta go. My name is MJ Wemoto, son of Zimbabwe, signing out. This was the African Album Review Podcast. Peace. Day and day.